Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. It's your boy Alfie. Now hang around for this video till the end because I've got an announcement to make. I'll be doing a giveaway, more details to be followed at the end of the video. In today's video, I got a few things to talk to you about. First of all, yesterday's video, we saw Raoul Pal talking about Gary Gensler's policy of regulation by enforcement and how it's driving innovation overseas. And as a result of that, we saw a huge announcement from a crypto lending platform in the US. Hang around to hear more about that one. Another thing I want to talk to you about is of a video we have where we see Sam Bankman-Fried questioned about the relationship between FTX and Alameda. Now guys, you really want to see and hear Sam Bankman-Fried's reaction to this one. The final thing we will be talking about on this video is about Maxine Waters and her communication with Sam Bankman-Fried, all documented on Twitter. Before we go into today's video, do take a second to hit the like and subscribe button and show your support. The first thing I want to talk about is of a video I posted where we saw Raoul Pal warning how Gary Gensler's policy of regulation by enforcement is stifling innovation in the US and driving crypto firms overseas. Here's a short version of that video.
I hope Gary Gensler loses his job, because his dragging of his feet and saying we're just going to prosecute anybody that I choose to prosecute in retrospect is no way to regulate the world's largest financial market. It's irresponsible. It's not fair on individuals. We can't just prosecute people for something they've done without knowing they've done wrong. And then forcing people to go offshore to do stuff outside of the hand of the regulators because the regulators won't create clear guidance. And again, people like Brian Armstrong have been saying this very clearly.
After this clip was posted, there came a huge announcement from Nexo, the crypto lending platform and exchange, saying that they had had enough. Nexo said it will gradually phase out US operations as a direct result of dead end in its attempts to gain clarity from US regulators. Now, in my opinion, this is just the beginning of the results of Gary Gensler's actions, and many more companies will be moving away from the US in the near future. That being said, the US should feel blessed that Ripple, the company which utilizes XRP, is fighting a case against the SEC because they choose to operate from the US rather than paying a fine and moving overseas and continue to grow. If Ripple did move overseas, it would be a great loss to the US tech innovation. To sum up this part of the video, check out this clip where Brad Garlinghouse confirms what this lawsuit against Ripple in the US means to the rest of the world.
I'll tell you a very quick, funny story. I'll keep it short. I was in the Middle East last fall, and we were meeting with customers. I have one of the Ripple team members who's based there. It's really early in the morning. My time zones are all screwed up. We're meeting with the CEO of a payments company. And but the employee from Team Ripple says, well, why don't you give an update on what's going on at Ripple? And I start talking about the SEC. And after the meeting, he very delicately says to me, no one gives a shit. And his point was, if you're not in the United States, the governments in Abu Dhabi, governments in Switzerland, Singapore, UK, Japan, they've provided the clarity how they view and categorize digital assets, and they don't care that the United States SEC has a viewpoint that is, pending in court.
Moving on to the next topic, I came across a video clip of Sam Bankman-Fried on a video conference with Nerd Nation, where Sam was asked to answer a very simple question with a yes or a no, and you just have to see how Sam dodges around the question. The clip pretty much explains itself, so I'll just play it for you guys and let you enjoy watching Sam Bankman-Fried make a fool of himself.
Idea of special access, because you said to the FT this week that Alameda had special access. When you were speaking to, when you're in Washington, and you're speaking with Gensler, you're speaking with members of the CFTC, you're speaking with policymakers, did they ever ask you, yes or no, if Alameda had special access to FTX? Did any of them ever ask you?
So when you say that, you're stating there that Alameda had special access.
No. Did Did any
Right.
policymaker, any regulator in Washington ever inquire just generally about the relationship between FTX and Alameda?
So there were lots of inquiries about the relationship between FTX US and Alameda.
So they didn't care about the relationship between FTX International and Alameda Research.
There were ways in which it was relevant. And
what were those ways?
so one of those ways was, and look, this was, I mean, as I say this, obviously it was extremely relevant in many ways from the world's perspective and should have been from my perspective. And I'm not at all trying to justify.
No one thinks you're trying to justify. I'm asking a very simple question.
Yeah.
Did they ever ask? And what was your response?
So
let me put myself in the shoes of a regulator. I ask you, let's say 6 months ago, which I'm sure you were asked, does Alameda have special access to FTX, any of its subsidiaries? And you say,
well, when you say subsidiaries, like the international and the U.S. businesses, it's a little bit of a technical point, but neither were subsidiaries of the other
units, or whatever word you would use.
Entities. Right. So I think what I'd say would be,
when I asked you, you just sidestepped the question. You didn't really respond to it. So I imagine, was that the strategy? Sort of, it was kind of ambiguous. It was confusing.
So I'm not sure I'm correctly remembering everything I've been asked, but what I can tell you I do remember being asked about was trading patterns. Like, what I do remember being asked about was from the perspective of market manipulation, from the perspective of order book liquidity, from the perspective of revenue.
But not from the perspective of credit. Okay, let's
to my knowledge, yeah.
Now for the final topic of today, I want to talk about Representative Maxine Waters and her communications with Sam Bankman-Fried on Twitter. Maxine Waters is the chair of House Financial Services Committee. Her position is second most senior after Nancy Pelosi. Maxine put out a tweet to Sam Bankman-Fried inviting him to a hearing on the 13th of December, to which Sam Bankman-Fried responded by basically saying he may need more time. What's funny here is Jeremy Hogan of Hogan and Hogan law firm, who's also a member of the XRP community, had to remind Representative Waters that she can just subpoena him to testify, and there was no need to ask nicely on Twitter. I found this hilarious. After a few days, and after a few days, Representative Waters did put out a thread on Twitter confirming that she thinks that based on Sam's role as CEO and from his media interviews over the past few weeks, it was clear that the information Sam has thus far is sufficient for testimony. Let's see how things develop after the testimony on the 13th of December. That's all for today's video, but before we go, let me tell you about a XRP giveaway I'll be doing. Guys, I want you to hit the subscribe button, and once I hit 100 subscribers, I'll be picking a winner from the comments and giving away 100 XRP. So please make sure you like, subscribe and comment and take part in this giveaway. That's all for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, Alfie Cool signing out.